Let's do this. I always, just before I start the podcast, Nick, I think back to now, bloody Janine, taking the piss out of my introduction to the retreat. Oh, so good. All right, guys, let's get this started. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. We are here with one of our wonderful wonder couples, Nick and Glenn Basnett. How are you guys? You good?
Yeah, good, mate.
We're all good.
Yep. Ready to rock and roll. Good stuff. Now, if you're wondering, there is a little bit of a delay in the sound, so hopefully that doesn't come through too much. But guys, if you want to ask any questions, you can whack them in the comments and I will certainly ask the guys the questions. So thanks for joining us on the podcast, team. The reason I asked you onto this podcast is because Nikki, I got wind that she was signing up to do some nutrition certifications. And I thought to myself, well, this is interesting. And I had a chat to Glenn, and Glenn was telling me how passionate she is. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to stick you guys in front of a camera, albeit a shitty webcam, and get you to tell your story. I had the beautiful ability to connect with Nick, particularly in person at the retreat. And this guy's a Wonder Woman. And as far as Glenn's concerned, he's been through a bloody hell of a lot. So why don't we go back maybe, 6 to 12 months ago? Do you want to go back, Glenn? Tell us, what was going on back there, mate? Why were you kind of looking to get started? What was happening? Because you'd been through a lot.
Okay, so mate, Perpetua, just sick of the weight gain, battled with probably self-esteem issues, Jace, as well. In the relationship, not that was a prime thing, but I was pretty overweight, big health conditions, heart cardiomyopathy, 2 hospital other surgeries and stuff going on in the past, and just Nick and I just done. We're dusted. We either fix this or her and I gone. Let's try hard. You just can't beat bad habits. So we've always looked around. We've always looked at diets and tried everything in the past. We've tried to lose weight. We knew what the was, but we both sort of just decision to do something active about it. We've tried all the dumb diets, as you put it, keto. Went on to carnivore. I've done the jelly bean diet. Stick a packet of jelly beans up your ass and blow sugar bubbles out your nose. That sort of thing. I just tried everything. You lose weight. It just didn't work. And Nick found your program, and she said, have a crack at this. And I gone, oh, yeah, this looks pretty cool. And yeah, that's sort of 12 months ago. We just gone. It's make or break for us. We went traveling. We fought. Nick she can tell the story. But so we were searching for something that made sense, and this is where we ended up.
Dude, thank you for sharing. And so, what was it that you saw, Nick, that drew your attention? What was that?
So, I like listening to podcasts, and I'm across you one day, and I guess the nutrition side of it is something I'm interested in, but never really done anything about. And just listening to what you said, this time in my life, what you were talking about made sense to me. So I've struggled. I've never been hugely overweight. Been a runner, played sport, rode horses. Worked hard. Hit me in 2021. I had long COVID for a year. I couldn't walk any more than 50 meters without coughing up a lung. My mum died. I had menopause. Your podcast came, stuff that I did when I was younger was like, fuck, I did that wrong. I'd need to lose a bit of weight. I wouldn't eat for 2 days. I'd run 5Ks longer. Oh, guess what? 2 or 3 kilos is gone. That worked when I was 25 and 35. But when I got to 45, it just didn't work. And the weight just crept up, and we became, as Glenn said, got some really bad habits. In Western Australia for 5 months, we didn't have a care in the world. But in that, we actually fought about it and stuff. But the nutrition side of it, for the first time in my life, made sense to me.
Right.
Sense. So it became
For the
easy
people that are listening,
to do.
how young are you guys?
I'm 52.
I'm 61.
Okay,
Cradle
cool.
snatcher.
Beautiful. Yeah, it sounds like it. So where, like, how bad was it? If you could put a point on that, like, are you saying to the point of, like, if you kept doing what you were doing, like, shit was gonna go bad quickly? Like, is that the position it was at?
Oh, 100%.
We didn't like each other very much at all,
Yeah.
most of the time. And then we'd drink, and then we'd fight, and then we'd be hungover day, and you know, we weren't huge, excessive drink stand up. We were legless, but it was enough that
It's constant.
It was kind of mood, and it changed our perception of each other, and it changed of ourselves. We did actually talk about whether this was the right thing to do, that we were to stay together, because were we actually being worse for each other than we would be on our own? And that self-doubt that we both then crept in, and we were like, well, actually not as strong together as what we were, because we used to be amazing together, but we lost it. And I know through menopause, I didn't know enough about menopause back then, that he hated him, and I didn't hate him. I just couldn't get out of my own way. That the symptoms of menopause hit me really hard. Anxiety and the depression, which I'd never suffered before. So our relationship suffered, and yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, you had a moment at the retreat where you were reflecting, and I remember speaking to you about it, and you said, oh my God, I've, like, really started to understand a little bit when I slow down and stop my mind and actually get a moment to be very grateful for Glenn, and not mistreatment necessarily, but not knowing what you didn't know about menopause, and then how that changed your behavior and how it impacted Glenn, and then he probably reacted to that, and then it became a cascade, and before you know it, you're kind of two ships of the night. What do you think, like, when you were saying, like, the alcohol component, what do you think you were trying to solve there? Was it just fun, or was it that you were, like, you got along when you drank, or, like, what was it what do you think was driving the drinking habit?
I think exactly that last word, Jace, is just the habit. I think it's the feel good, like my story is that I've suffered whole life, and that's probably been driven a lot from a long period of time ago with something that happened to me as which only worked out later in life. But it's the go-to, it's the crutch for me. And Nick had, she had a bit of a bent against alcohol, but we just fell into that habit of constantly, it was good for 5 minutes while you're drinking, and then it just went to shit after. And I think for me, that's what it was. It's just been a habit.
Kind of got to the stage where you started, you couldn't stop. It was, have one drink today, or we'll just have a couple of beers. But that 2 beers then led to, and then the cupboard eating and the late nights.
What's really interesting to me as an insider is, as I've got to know you guys a bit better, and how gracious you are, and how friendly and energetic, and like, everyone, you have bad mood days, but you're just so giving and kind people. And sometimes that type of a person gets very lost when the weight of the world comes down on them, right? They spend so much time trying to give to everyone else, and then they're just an empty shell at the end. So I think it's amazing that you guys had the ability, even with what was going on, to turn in and say, you know what, we're going to do something about this. It sounds like you were the driver primarily of it, Nikki, to actually get started. Were you hesitant, Glenn, particularly? Yeah, were you hesitant, or were you just all in? Nah, you're right, we need to.
No, it was on pretty much like Nick, mate. We've looked at nutrition since we've been together since 2016. I've always looked at nutrition. I've constantly dieted my whole life. I knew the basics, but I think when Nick showed me the podcast and I had us, I think as it all gelled, as Nick said, it made sense. So I had no hesitation in jumping in. So that was
okay.
that was a big thing. And I had given up drinking for 15 bar in Byron Bay. Like, what the fuck did you do that for? Anyway, and he's got alcohol, and my mama taught me not to waste. I wasn't spitting that shit back in the glass. I don't care what you tell me. So,
yeah. Okay, so we got started, and you guys are very ingrained in our community now, and I'm so stoked that you're going to be here for another 12 months as well. When you first started, were you fairly overwhelmed, do you feel, or was there a couple of changes that you think, once I made these changes, this is, like, I'm thinking of the person that's listening to this podcast, completely overwhelmed. Like, what did you guys do at the start? We just like, fuck, there's so much? Or were you, no, we'll just focus on this and this?
There was a lot. There was, to start with. Luckily, we've calorie counted before. Glenn's always been a gym man, so that kind of stuff, walking for me was nothing. That was nothing for me to add the walking. For Glenn, a different story. The gym for me was a big thing. So basically, my decisions after, 2 days after I got the first program was like, righto, come on, I've said I'm going to join the gym. Let's go.
Wow.
So we went and did it. Joined the gym. Walking in the door there every day was probably the biggest challenge that I've had on this. We'd done the 2-week program, We'd started that eating program and so with. We didn't use your program much after. Counting calories and food and stuff was relatively okay for us.
And so can I just stop you there? Because if anyone's thinking, oh, well, what do you mean you didn't follow the meal plan? Because they had the consciousness around calories already, that meant that they could skip that first step of being on a meal plan. So why do we have a meal plan at the start? We have a meal plan because it's too hard to teach calories and macros to someone who has no idea what they're doing. So you kind of crawl before you walk. But the ultimate goal, if you want to get on top of your nutrition, is not to count calories all your life. It's to understand food. Once you understand food, you can then track for a while and then get to a point where things become a little bit more intuitive. So we got started on the meal plan. You sort of moved off that. You're tracking calories. It's good. What are the revelations, Nick, that you mentioned, like, I was doing it the wrong way? What did you start doing that was different to what you did before?
I think the big thing was an increase in protein. That made such a huge difference, was that we could eat, as you said yesterday at the Zoom call, you can eat healthy. Can you lose weight? Can you still gain weight? Yeah, you can. Like, we thought we were eating really well, but we were eating a lot of food, and we were eating a lot of the wrong food a lot of the time. We'd go on these crash diets where we'd, restrict our calories. We were out doing exercise. We thought we could cardio off what we were doing. So that was a real eye opener. That it didn't matter, the Fitbit app says that, you've walked 10,000 Ks, so now you can eat an extra 400 calories. And we're like, oh, cool. We're still within calorie range. We're still in a deficit because we haven't eaten all those.
Yeah.
So that was a really big eye opener, to actually restrict those calories no matter how much exercise we did.
Yeah.
We couldn't eat all the food. Like, we came into this probably at maybe 11 or 1,200 calories per day on a good day when we weren't drinking. And then to come and say, well, you've got to eat 1,500 and 1,600. I couldn't eat that. I was like, I cannot eat all that food.
Real food.
Of real food. Yeah. So it was a real eye opener that the amount of protein that you had in that diet was just the best thing, best thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, because I think for a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take what they're already doing diet-wise and just eat less of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, because then you're just really bloody hungry all the time, right? So what we've got to do is we've got to create the eat less part, but then create the more full part. You can't have one without the other, or you just go back to what you were doing before. Dude, I love that. Let's talk about how you got to a position, particularly Nick, of loving the gym. Like, what's happened there in the transformation? Can you talk through that? Because I think there are a lot of women and men that are just like so intimidated, and they say, I hate the gym. It's not they hate it. They hate the fact that they feel stupid. What do we do there?
Yeah. I guess for me, I just fumbled my way through, ask the questions. Glenn was a huge resource with a couple of the girls on the site. Amanda more than happy to chat through stuff, reach out and actually use those people who know what they're talking about, because I had no fucking idea. I didn't have any ego when I went in that gym at all. I was like, okay, if I have to pick up a weight, and that's what I have to pick up. It was just okay. And then the more I listened to podcasts, the more I listened to Troy, the more I listened to you, the more I listened to the girls on the group, the more I listened to Glenn. It was like, to lift heavy, I need to actually get my form right. I'm proud of myself that I took the time to do that. I actually think I've got pretty good form with most of the things I've done. I did have some mobility issues. I can touch my toes now, which is like, holy shit, like without bending my knee.
I'm not going to make a joke about her
whoever
ability,
would've thought.
Glenn, for your purposes, mate. That's fine.
See this?
Great.
So it was a challenge going into that gym every day for a long time. The intimidation, and I remember walking in there one day and Glenn and I having a conversation about looking at yourself in the mirror, and I sat in front of that weight bench and I looked, and normally I'd want to look away and I didn't. I forced myself to look, and I forced myself to tell myself how proud I was that I was standing in front of that mirror. And then once I started to feel proud of what it became easier to go. And I started to see the changes in my body. I haven't lost a huge amount of weight. I think I'm just shy of 7 kilos and centimeters down off my waist. But a lady at the gym a couple of days ago asked me if I was a swimmer because I have huge shoulders. You know, in myself, I always wanted to be 72. That was where I was going to be. That was what was going to make me happy. Everything was going to fall into place when I hit 72 kilos. I'm hitting at 7.9 or something at the moment, and I look 100 times better than I ever 2 kilos.
I agree.
So good. So freaking good. And what I love is, and this is like, you know, talk about a couple of guys over 50. If I could just get this message that if you could let go of this fucking weight and just focus on getting strong as your primary metric, there is no place after 50 where you will regret being the strongest person in your family. Like, how good that you can walk in and do a deadlift with good form. Like that to me is
she deadlifts more than I do. She deadlifts more than I do, Joe.
This is it, right? And so I think it's like, you know, seeing you guys from the outside, and no doubt you still bicker like most couples, but just being able to have that kind of journey together where you lean in and you encourage each other, it is amazing. Glenn, I want to ask you yesterday, because we had a brief chat yesterday. You've gone through a really challenging period of where naturally there's some hormone stuff that we need to work through, but you said something which I think it's good for the boys in the group to hear. And that was when you were feeling like you were failing a little bit and starting to struggle, you felt yourself like rejecting the optimism in our group. You're like, fuck, I don't want to read it. Can you just talk to that just a little bit?
Yeah, look, I don't. It was like someone the door in my face, and I think, as we spoke, I had after effects of prostate cancer, which is what you go into the hormone therapy, which just fucks you up, something chronic. So against the specialist side, which they agreed that's fine because the side effects of the hormone therapy drops your testosterone through the floor, as in like 0.3 versus 19 before I went in.
Yeah.
And I went on to TRT. At about the time that I went on the TRT, one of the side effects of that was that basically it just created some background shit that, well, at that point, it seemed to have had a massive impact on. I've just gone, fuck this. I've had enough of this one's post. I don't want to do this. It's bullshit, not working. It's blah, blah, blah. It just sort of like it wasn't a gradual thing. It was a bit like one day I'm in there going, yeah, gym. Next day I'm going, fuck this. had a gutful. What the hell?
Mm.
So I sat myself down, and I think I just saw the reward in the background that had already come, and I've gone, I don't want to give up on this. Like this is not diet. This is, and just go pick it up in 10 years' time. This is something that actually does work. The difference in my body. Like I'm not nowhere near what I need to be, but everything that, like Nick, it's the mobility improvements, all that stuff. And I've got someone. I do need to actually reconnect to the group. I do need to have that, even to help other people. Like I think to lean into the group and help those that are struggling. I think the side benefit of that is insane. I think it's we all, I think, realizing that the importance of the group in that aspect is something that just shook me up and gone, you know what, you've been a dick, mate. Like just take advantage.
I couldn't agree more, Glenn. And one of the things, as we bring this to a close, I think the big thing is, people yes, I guess it's great to do things yourself, but the reality is, I don't know if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're not going to go deep in it, but basically it says once you've got your own shit covered, right? Once you start self-actualizing, you start helping other people, it gives you a fulfillment that you just cannot be paid enough money to. And I think
100%.
what you're seeing with guys like Terry and Nick over a long period of time, people like Xanth and Vicky Milroy and Tim McIntyre and these types of people, and now you guys, is that when you give, right, in a way that's just like, it takes effort, you're intentionally putting yourself into the situation to give, it's wonderful the value that you get back. And sometimes we stop giving because we think, oh, there's too much going on in our world, but then that inadvertently hurts us and makes us feel
100%.
less grateful and right. So brother, I just wanted to acknowledge that, because there's no doubt a few men particularly, but also women, that will watch this or listen to this and think, yeah, that sounds great, but sometimes I just hit fuck it mode. That's normal. That's completely normal.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to
kind of like there's
a slide,
a cycle where you come in and it's all hunky dory and everything's really good and everything's there, and then you pull yourself back out of it, or you don't.
Bang on. Couldn't agree with you more. Being mindful of Glenn's work, I want to ask one more question. And Nick, that's to you. Tell us a bit about what you're wanting to do with your nutrition space, particularly, and what you've started studying, because I think that passion and understanding why you want to do that is amazing.
So I've started a level 1 nutrition course, and I've enrolled in some CPD points for nurses and doctors for menopause. My plan, what I want to do and what I would love to be able to do is to be able to talk to women before they become perimenopausal, like let them know about those symptoms and what they should look out for, and that they are normal symptoms that come through, and also educate their husbands so that they don't feel like Glenn did, that they don't feel like I hated him because I didn't. Some days I did, but most of the time I didn't. But to get them in a position where they're ready for that, and that also means potentially losing a little weight, but also about how important it is for that bone strength and that mobility. I mean, I would get out of bed with some bad joint pain and walk down the corridor, and trying to get to the toilet was like I nearly peed myself because I couldn't get there fast enough because my joints. But this has proven to me how 52 and also doesn't mean that I can't do stuff, and I want to share that with other people, that I can now touch my toes and I can do squats and all of those things that I could do probably if I tried when I was 30. But if I can show some of those women that you can journey and it doesn't have to be as bad as what mine was, because you can get it and you can do stuff to fix that earlier on. So I guess primary health about preventative care, I guess.
Proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
And Jason, I'd just throw something in from a fella's perspective too. I mean, we go through a male menopause even in normal times, and I think me being forced into that male menopausal state, instantly thrown on that program, I actually got a better understanding back then when she was going through the menopausal stage. Yeah. So I think it's just as important to understand that we go through a similar process as we get older, but you can be proactive as in your 30s, use that stuff by doing this sort of program where you actually build your strength, you build good habits. You know, you have an alternative to sit around at the bar getting pissed all the time, or whatever the case may be. Bad food, bad choices, important for blokes, I believe. To, you know, everyone acknowledges the female pause, but no one actually looks at the blokes and the impact of that. I know two friends of mine that hit 50, went into male menopause and committed suicide. Like they just couldn't cope, and it's a big thing. And you know, this is what I'm so encouraging of Nick with this nutrition. It's
I couldn't agree more. Think of Glenn, the amount of people that are going through that hormonally, metabolically, and then we hit retirement age at say 60 or 65, and every part of our self-image that was wrapped up in being a breadwinner, the family depends on me, all of a sudden I'm retired, I'm nobody, I've got no hormones, I've got no lot, who am I anymore? See you later. You know, and that is 100% right. And the journeys are very different between men and women, but the same thing. This is where I am so all in on the idea that if you're in your 30s and 40s particularly, that just you don't have to be perfect. Like no one's saying you have to give up the drink or run marathons or stay in the gym. Like I'm talking go to the gym once a week. Like once a week. I'm talking eat some fruit and vegetables and increase your protein intake. You don't have to track your calories. Let's get, as a community, let's get the 80% right. The tracking of the calories and the kind of 10,000 steps and the 3 or 4 perfect gym sessions a week that are great for, that's the 20%. If we get the core right, this is why it's much simpler than we think. The hard part is the execution, right? And being in, you know, the group with people like yourself is probably what makes that just a little bit easier, because you look around and you realize, oh, everyone struggles with the same thing, right? Team, I want to publicly thank you both. I think you're wonderful two humans more than anything. I want to honor the contribution that you both made to our group and just say thank you so much for the energy that you bring. And for me, it's, you know, being able to be surrounded by people like you, and I say this with no pissing in your pocket. I fucking love you two and everything you bring, and it makes my job easier. So thank you so much. And hopefully, Nikki, we've got a position for you, maybe. I might say that publicly. Guys, if you loved this episode, just having a good chat to the guys, let them know in the comments that you appreciate them. But other than that, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast, coming to you with another client interview, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. So well done, guys. I'm just in the back of my mind, I know you need to get to work, Gleno, so that was
the phone rings, mate.
So comment. What Aaron said, when you start, you come from a place of self-doubt, putting yourself and your journey out there. And then you start to realize the change you have on others as it slowly builds and slowly drowns out the self-doubt. So true. Xanth said, 100%. Love your story, guys. So proud of you, Glenn and Nikki. I mean, in a different life, you and Xanth might have been twin sisters, Nick, just being honest.
She inspires me. And I have told her that, and she's a very good role model for me, and I love what she does and what she's been through. And I'd like to live closer so I could get to know her better.
She is one of the most wonderful humans that's ever been put on this earth. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming into the podcast. I appreciate you. We'll see you in the next episode.
We love you. Love your work. Love your work. Love you, mate. Good on you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right. See ya.